At 17, my adopted sister accused me of getting her pregnant. My family disowned me, my girlfriend left, and I disappeared. 10 years later, the truth came out, and they showed up crying at my door. I didn't answer. I need to start before everything fell apart. So you understand what I lost. My name is Marcus. I grew up in an upper-middle-class suburb outside of Portland, Oregon. My dad, Richard, was a civil engineer. My mom, Patricia, was a high school English teacher. By all accounts, we were the perfect family. The kind you'd see in a Christmas card. The kind neighbors envied. When I was 8 years old, my parents sat me down and told me they were adopting a little girl. Her name was Sophie. She was 5 years old, and she'd been in foster care for 2 years after being removed from an abusive home. They asked if I wanted to be a big brother. I was thrilled. I'd always wanted a sibling. Sophie arrived on a Tuesday in March. She was tiny, with dark curly hair and these huge brown eyes that looked too sad for a 5-year-old. She clutched a stuffed rabbit and barely spoke above a whisper. Mom cried when she first held her. Dad promised her she was safe now, that she was home. I meant it when I promised to be the best big brother ever. For the first few years, everything was good, better than good. Sophie slowly came out of her shell. She laughed more. She started calling my parents Mom and Dad within 6 months. She'd follow me around the house, wanted to do everything I did. I taught her to ride a bike. I scared away the bullies who made fun of her at school. When she had nightmares, which was often in those early years, I'd sit with her until she fell back asleep. I loved her. She was my sister in every way that mattered. But something shifted when Sophie turned 13 and I was 16. She became different. Moody, secretive, hostile. I figure it was typical teenage stuff. My friends' younger siblings acted the same way. Mom said it was hormones and adjustment issues. That adopted kids sometimes struggle with identity during adolescence. But it felt directed at me specifically. Sophie started making snide comments about how I was a real child and she was just a charity case. She'd roll her eyes whenever I spoke. If I asked if she wanted to watch a movie or grab ice cream like we used to, she'd snap at me to leave her alone. I tried to give her space. I figured she'd grow out of it. I had my own life anyway. I was a senior in high school, captain of the soccer team, pulling straight A's. I had a girlfriend, Rachel, who I'd been dating for 8 months. We were planning to go to University of Oregon together. Life was good. Life was perfect. I should have paid more attention to the warning signs. It happened 3 weeks before my high school graduation. I'd just gotten home from soccer practice. It was around 6 p.m. on a Thursday. Rachel was coming over for dinner. Mom was making her famous lasagna. I was in a great mood. I just got my acceptance letter to UO with a partial scholarship. Everything was falling into place. When I walked in, the house was silent. Weird, because Mom was usually blasting NPR while cooking, and Dad would be in his office on conference calls. I found them in the living room. Mom was on the couch, her face pale and blotchy from crying. Dad stood by the fireplace, his jaw clenched so tight I could see the muscles jumping. Sophie sat in the armchair, her knees pulled to her chest, tears streaming down her face. "What's wrong?" I asked, my stomach immediately nodding. "Is someone hurt? Is Grandma okay?" Dad's voice was cold, colder than I'd ever heard it. "Sit down, Marcus." I sat. Mom wouldn't look at me. That's what scared me most. Mom, who'd kissed my forehead every morning for 17 years, would meet my eyes. "Sophie has something she needs to tell you," Dad said. Sophie was shaking. She looked terrified. For a second, I thought something terrible had happened to her, that someone had hurt her, and she was scared to tell me. "It's okay, Soph," I said gently. "Whatever it is, we'll figure out. You're safe here." She let out a sob. Then she looked at me, and there was something in her eyes I couldn't identify. Something that made my blood run cold. "I'm pregnant," she whispered. The world tilted. "What? Sophie, are you who?" "You," she said, her voice breaking. "It's yours, Marcus. You're the father." I honest to God laughed. Not because it was funny, but because my brain couldn't process what she just said. It was so absurd, so impossible, that laughter was the only response my body could produce. That's not funny, Sophie. Come on, what's really? Don't. Dad's voice cracked like thunder. Don't you dare laugh at her. Don't you dare act like this is a joke. I looked at my father, and I didn't recognize him. His face was twisted with rage and disgust. He was looking at me like I was a stranger, like I was something diseased. Dad, I couldn't even form the sentence. Sophie, tell them. Tell them this is crazy. I never touched you. I would never. She told us everything. Mom said, her voice hollow, how you come into her room at night. How you said no one would believe her if she told. How you said you'd hurt her if she said anything. I felt like I was drowning. No, that's insane. I would never. Sophie, why are you saying this? This is crazy. I'm your brother. That's what you kept saying, Sophie sobbed. That you were my brother, so it was different. That it was special. I never said that. I never did anything. I was shouting now, desperate, terrified. Mom, Dad, you know me. You know me. I would never, ever hurt Sophie. I love her. She's my sister. She's 15 years old, Dad said, his voice shaking with fury. She's a child. I know that. I didn't do this. Please, you have to believe me. She showed us the pregnancy test. Mom whispered. Multiple tests. We took her to the doctor yesterday. She's 8 weeks pregnant. The timeline, it matches when you were on winter break. When we left you two alone while we went to Vancouver for our anniversary. Oh, God, I remember that weekend. I'd stayed home because I had a big soccer tournament. Sophie was supposed to go to her friend Emma's house, but Emma got the flu last minute, so Sophie stayed home too. It was just the two of us for 3 days. We'd ordered pizza, watched movies. She'd seemed fine, normal. We barely interacted. I was at the tournament most of the time, and when I was home, I was in my room doing homework. I was barely even here that weekend, I said desperately. I was at the tournament from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. every day. Rachel can tell you. She was there. My coach, my teammates. She says it happened at night. Dad said flatly, after the tournament, after Rachel left. It didn't. Nothing happened. Sophie, please, why are you doing this? Did someone hurt you? Because if someone did, we'll help you, but you can't say it was me. Please. She just cried harder, burying her face in her knees. I turned to my parents, begging now, test it. When the baby's born, do a DNA test. That'll prove I'm not the father. Please, just wait until then. Don't do this until we know for sure. My dad's face was granite. Get out. What? Get out of my house. Dad, you have 1 hour to pack your things. I don't care where you go. You're not welcome here anymore. And if you come near Sophie again, if you call her, if you so much as look at her, I'm calling the police. You're kicking me out? I'm your son. My son wouldn't rape his sister. That word, rape, it hit me like a physical blow. I actually stumbled backward. I whispered, I swear on everything, I didn't do this. Mom finally looked at me. Her eyes were dead. How could you, she said softly, how could you do this to her? To us? We trusted you with her. There was nothing I could say, nothing that would make them hear me. They'd already decided I was guilty. I went upstairs in a daze. I threw clothes into a duffel bag, grabbed my laptop, my phone charger. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely zip the bag. Sophie appeared in my doorway. I froze. I'm sorry, she said quietly. Then tell them the truth. I begged. Sophie, please. This will ruin my life. Why are you doing this? She looked at me for a long moment. Then she turned and walked away. I left through the front door 52 minutes later. Dad watched from the porch to make sure I was gone. He didn't say goodbye. I drove to Rachel's house. She'd help me figure this out. We'd explain to everyone that this was a misunderstanding, a horrible lie, and we'd fix it together. Rachel's mom answered the door. Her face was sympathetic, but firm. Marcus, honey, Rachel doesn't want to see you. We know what happened with Sophie. I think it's best if you don't come back here. Mrs. Chun, please, I didn't do anything. Sophie's lying. I don't know why, but she's lying. Rachel knows me. She knows I couldn't. Rachel's very upset. She needs space. I'm sorry, but you need to leave. The door closed in my face. I called Rachel 17 times that night. She didn't answer. Finally, at 2 a.m., she sent a text. Don't ever contact me again. What you did is unforgivable. We're done. I tried calling my friends. Connor, my best friend since 6th grade. He didn't pick up. When I texted him, he blocked me. Same with Tyler. Same with everyone. Word had already spread. In a town of 15,000 people, gossip moved faster than wildfire. My phone started buzzing with notifications. Facebook, Instagram, texts from numbers I didn't recognize. All saying the same things. Rapist, monster, child abuser. You should kill yourself. I spent that first night in my car in a Walmart parking lot, watching my entire life disintegrate through a glowing screen. The next morning, I tried to go to school. I needed to talk to my guidance counselor, to explain, to do something. I didn't even make it to the building. There were people waiting. Students, parents. Someone had spray-painted rapist on my car overnight. As I pulled into the parking lot, a group of guys from the football team surrounded my car. They started pounding on the windows, screaming at me to get out so they could teach me a lesson. I panicked and reversed, nearly hitting someone. I drove away with them chasing me, throwing rocks that shattered my rear window. I got an email an hour later from the principal. I was suspended pending an investigation. I was not to come onto school property. I wasn't even safe at Walmart parking lots anymore. Someone recognized my car that second night and slashed my tires while screaming at me through the window. I drove on the ruined tires to a motel on the highway. I paid cash for 3 nights, all I could afford with the money I'd been saving from my part-time job at the grocery store. The police showed up on day 2. 2 officers. They asked if I was Marcus Chun. I said yes. They asked me to come to the station to answer some questions about an allegation. I should have asked for a lawyer. I know that now, but I was 17 and terrified and still believed that truth mattered, that if I just explained everything, they'd understand. They questioned me for 6 hours. They asked about my relationship with Sophie, about that weekend in December, about whether I'd been in her room, whether I'd touched her, whether we'd had sex. I said no, over and over. No, no, no. I never touched her. I never went in her room, except to tell her dinner was ready. We barely spoke that weekend. I was at the tournament. I was with Rachel. I was in my room. They didn't believe me. They told me Sophie had given a detailed account. Times, dates, specific things I'd supposedly said. They told me I could make this easier on everyone if I just admitted it. I didn't admit it because I didn't do it. Finally, they let me go. They said they were still investigating, but they had enough to press charges if Sophie wanted to move forward. I left that police station and I knew my life was over. I couldn't stay in Oregon. That much was clear. Every place I went, people recognized me. Someone spit on me at a gas station. A woman screamed at me in a grocery store, calling me a pedophile while her kids watched. I got death threats daily. Someone found out where I was staying and threw a brick through the motel window. The motel owner kicked me out. I had nowhere to go. My parents had closed their door. Rachel's family had closed their door. My friends had abandoned me. My soccer scholarship was obviously gone. The university had sent a terse email rescinding the offer. I had $1,200 to my name, a car with slashed tires and shattered window, and no future. I did the only thing I could think of. I ran. I traded my car to a sketchy mechanic for $500 cash and a beat-up 1998 Honda Civic that barely ran. I threw away my phone. It was just a portal for hatred anyway. I took what I could carry, and I drove. I drove east, away from Oregon, away from everything I'd ever known. I ended up in Montana, a tiny town called Harlow, population 3,000, where nobody knew me and nobody asked questions. I found a job washing dishes at a truck stop diner. The owner, a gruff man named Earl who'd done time for armed robbery in his 20s, didn't care about my lack of references or ID. He paid me under the table, let me sleep in a storage room behind the diner until I could afford a room at a boarding house. I turned 18 in that storage room, alone, with nothing but a sleeping bag and the clothes I'd been wearing for 3 weeks. No birthday cake, no candles, no family singing off-key while I blew out the flames. Just me, a concrete floor, and the smell of fryer grease. I cried myself to sleep that night. The first time I'd let myself cry since leaving home. The next 10 years of my life were about survival and silence. I became someone else. Not legally. I couldn't afford to change my name properly, but practically. I started going by my middle name, James. I told people I was from Idaho, that my family was dead, that I didn't like to talk about the past. Most people respected that. Truck stop towns are full of people running from something. I worked my way up from dishwasher to line cook. Earl taught me everything: how to work a grill, manage inventory, deal with drunk customers. He became the closest thing I had to family, though we never talked about anything personal. When I was 19, I got my GED at the local community college. It felt both triumphant and devastating. I was supposed to be finishing my freshman year at University of Oregon. Instead, I was getting a high school equivalency degree in a town where the biggest excitement was when the Dairy Queen got a new flavor. But I kept going. I took one community college class at a time, paying out of pocket for my dishwasher wages. It took me 6 years to get an associate degree in business. 6 years of night classes and weekend studying while working 60-hour weeks at the diner. By the time I was 25, I'd saved enough to put a down payment on a small house. Nothing fancy. 800 square feet, needed work, in the bad part of town that didn't really have a good part. But it was mine. The first thing that was truly mine in 8 years. I started taking online classes toward a bachelor's degree. Earl promoted me to assistant manager. I was making decent money. Not great, but enough to pay my bills and save a little. I dated sometimes. Nothing serious. I couldn't let anyone get close enough to ask the wrong questions. Couldn't risk someone Googling my real name and finding the old news articles that still existed, buried but not gone. Local teen accused of impregnating adopted sister. I went to therapy for a while when I was 26, after a particularly bad panic attack landed me in the ER. The therapist diagnosed me with PTSD and depression. She wanted to know what had happened to cause it. I told her I'd been falsely accused of something terrible and lost everything. She asked if I wanted to talk about it. I never went back. Some things are too broken to fix. By the time I turned 30, I'd built a small, quiet life. I had my house. I had a job I was good at. I had Earl, who'd become a gruff father figure. I had a couple of drinking buddies who knew me as James the Cook, nothing more. I wasn't happy. I'm not sure I remembered how to be happy. But I was stable. I was safe. I was surviving. And then, 3 months ago, I got a message on Facebook. I rarely check Facebook. I'd made an account under my middle name years ago, just to have some connection to the world, but I never posted, never updated my profile. It was basically a dead account. But that morning, something made me log in. There was a message request from someone named Connor Peterson. My heart stopped. Connor, my best friend from high school. The guy who blocked me without a second thought. I almost deleted it without reading. But curiosity, or maybe masochism, made me click. Marcus, I don't know if you'll ever see this. I don't even know if this is really you. But I found this profile and the age matches, and I'm in Montana too now, Billings for work. And I had to try. I don't know how to say this. I'm sorry doesn't even begin to cover it. We were wrong. We were all so fucking wrong. Sophie lied. About everything. She came clean last month. She's in rehab now, long story, and she finally told the truth. The father was her boyfriend at the time, Derek Williams. Remember him? He was 19, would have gone to jail for statutory. So she panicked and blamed you. She thought mom and dad would be less angry if she said it was you. She didn't think they'd actually kick you out. She thought they'd just make you admit it, and then everything would be handled quietly. When you actually left, she got scared. She was going to come clean, but Derek threatened her, said he'd hurt her if she told anyone it was him. By then it had gone too far. The police were involved. The whole town knew. She didn't know how to take it back. She had the baby. A girl. Your parents raised her as their own. They told everyone she was adopted. Derek's been in and out of jail. Sophie's been spiraling for years. Drugs, bad relationships, suicide attempts. She finally broke down and told a therapist the truth. The therapist convinced her she needed to tell your parents. She did. Last month, Marcus, your dad had a heart attack when she told him. He's okay now, but it broke something in him. Broke both of them. They've been trying to find you for weeks. They're desperate. They want to apologize. They want you to come home. I know I have no right to ask anything of you. I should have believed you. We all should have. But if you're reading this, please at least let them know you're alive. I'm so sorry, brother. Connor, I read that message 17 times. Then I threw up. After Connor's message, I did something stupid. I Googled myself a first time in 10 years. The articles were still there. Teen accused of impregnating adopted sister. But now there were new ones from just a few weeks ago. Woman admits to false accusation that destroyed brother's life. Family desperate to find son 10 years after false rape allegation. Sophie Chin confesses, I ruined my brother's life with a lie. I read every single one, torturing myself with the details I'd missed. Sophie had confessed during a family therapy session at her rehab facility. She'd been addicted to opioids for 6 years, in and out of jail for possession and prostitution. The baby, my daughter, who was actually my niece, was 9 years old now. My parents had told her that her mother was sick and couldn't care for her, so they were raising her. Her name was Lily. Derek Williams, the actual father, was serving 5 years for armed robbery. He'd been in and out of prison since he was 20. Sophie's confession had been recorded. In the video that someone had leaked online, she was sobbing, rocking back and forth, saying, I'm so sorry over and over. My mother's wails were audible in the background. My father's voice broken, what have we done? The local news had picked up the story. There were interviews with my former teachers, my soccer coach, Rachel's mother, all of them saying the same things. We should have known Marcus couldn't have done this. He was such a good kid. We failed him. Rachel herself had posted on Facebook a long, tearful apology. She was married now, living in Seattle, working as a nurse. She said not a day had gone by where she didn't think about me. She said she was haunted by how quickly she believed the worst. She begged me to contact her so she could apologize in person. My parents had hired a private investigator to find me. They'd been searching for her 2 months with no luck. I'd covered my tracks, well, different name, no social media presence, no paper trail. Connor had found me by accident, searching for people with my name in Montana just to see, and stumbling across a profile with my birth year and a vague similarity in the profile picture. It was mostly shadowed. In his message, he'd included his phone number. He begged me to call, said my parents were destroyed, said my dad had aged 20 years in the past month, said my mom hadn't stopped crying. I didn't call. I couldn't. 3 days ago, on a Tuesday afternoon, my Ring doorbell camera sent me a notification. Someone was at my door. I pulled up the app on my phone. My blood turned to ice. It was them. My parents. Dad looked old. So much older than I remembered. His hair was completely white. He'd lost weight, his face gaunt and lined. He was wearing a cardigan I didn't recognize and holding a bouquet of flowers. Mom was smaller somehow, diminished. Her hair was gray, pulled back in a messy ponytail. She wasn't wearing makeup. She'd always worn makeup, every single day of my childhood. Now her face was bare and blotchy from crying. They were both crying as they stood on my porch. Marcus, Mom said to the camera, her voice breaking. Please, sweetheart, if you're there, we just want to talk. We're so sorry. We're so sorry. Dad's shoulders shook. Son, please, open the door. We know we don't deserve your forgiveness, but please just let us see you. Let us explain. I watched from my phone, sitting on my couch 15 feet away from them, frozen. We failed you, Mom sobbed. We failed you so badly. You were our son, and we didn't believe you. We didn't protect you. We threw you away, and we can never take that back. But please, please, let us try to make it right. I know you have no reason to trust us, Dad said, wiping his eyes. I know what we did is unforgivable. But you're our son. You'll always be our son. And we love you. We never stopped loving you, even when we believed the worst. They stood there for 20 minutes, begging, pleading, apologizing. I didn't move. Eventually, they left the flowers by the door and walked back to their rental car. Mom looked back 3 times, hoping I'd appear. I didn't. After they drove away, I sat in the dark for 6 hours, staring at nothing. The flowers are still on my porch. I haven't touched them. They're wilting now. My phone started ringing the next morning. Connor had given them my number, or maybe they'd gotten it from the PI. Either way, they had it now. I didn't answer the first call, or the second, or the 20th. My voicemail filled up with messages. Dad's voice, thick with tears. Marcus, it's your father. Please, son, just call us back. We need to hear your voice. We need to know you're okay. Mom's voice shaking. Baby, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry for everything. I should have believed you. I should have protected you. I was your mother, and I failed you. Please let me say this to your face. Please. Sophie's voice, barely recognizable. Marcus, it's Sophie. I know you probably hate me. You should hate me. I destroyed your life because I was a scared, stupid kid. I'm not asking you to forgive me. I need you to know I'm sorry. I'm so fucking sorry. You were a good brother, and I betrayed you in the worst way possible. I have to live with that forever. I just wanted you to know none of it was your fault. You didn't do anything wrong. It was all me. Rachel's voice. Marcus, it's Rachel. I don't even know what to say. I loved you, and I abandoned you when you needed me most. I didn't fight for you. I just believed everyone else and threw away what we had. I'm married now, and every time my husband looks at me with trust, I think about how I didn't give you that, how I should have known you couldn't do what they said you did. I'm so sorry. 17 voicemails, all saying the same thing. Sorry, we were wrong. Please forgive us. I listened to each one once. Then I blocked all their numbers. You want to know the truth? I'm not sad anymore. I haven't been sad in years. I'm angry. I'm angry that a 15-year-old girl could destroy my entire life with a lie and face no consequences. Sophie's in rehab, funded by my parents. She's getting help, getting better, probably get a fresh start. I got nothing. No help. No second chance. No one gave a shit about my fresh start. I'm angry that my parents believed the worst about me without a single shred of physical evidence. That they didn't demand a DNA test before ruining my life. That their love for me was so conditional, it evaporated the moment someone made an accusation. I'm angry that Rachel, who'd been with me for 8 months, who'd said she loved me, didn't even hesitate, didn't ask questions, didn't give me the benefit of the doubt. I'm angry that my friends turned on me instantly, that my entire community decided I was guilty without trial, without evidence, without anything but a teenage girl's word. I'm angry that I spent 10 years building a life from nothing, while everyone else got to move on. They got to feel bad, feel guilty, but they still had their families, their homes, their futures. I lost everything, and now they want forgiveness. They want to open my door, welcome them back, and pretend like the last 10 years didn't happen. Like I didn't spend my 18th birthday on a concrete floor, cry myself to sleep. Like I didn't seriously consider killing myself at least a dozen times. Like I didn't have to become someone else just to survive. They're sorry. Great. Wonderful. That and $5 will buy me a coffee. Sorry doesn't give me back my senior year. Sorry doesn't give me back my soccer scholarship, my college experience, my relationship with Rachel. Sorry doesn't give me back the career I should have had, the life I should have lived. Sorry doesn't erase the decade I spent alone. Here's what nobody wants to talk about. There's no happy ending here. This isn't a movie where we all hug and cry and heal together. This isn't a story where the family reconciles and everything's okay again. They want absolution. They want to feel better about what they did. They want to apologize and have me say, "It's okay, I forgive you," so they can sleep at night. But it's not okay, and I don't forgive them. You know what I've realized? Their apology isn't for me. It's for them. They feel guilty. That guilt is eating them alive. So they need me to forgive them to ease their conscience. They need me to tell them they're not bad people, that they made an understandable mistake, that I don't hate them. But their feelings are not my responsibility anymore. They had 17 years to know who I was. 17 years of raising me, watching me grow, teaching me right from wrong. And when it mattered most, when I needed them to know me, to trust me, they didn't. They chose Sophie. And I understand why. She was younger, more vulnerable, had been through trauma. I get the instinct to protect her. But I was their son, and they threw me away like garbage. Do you know what that does to a person? To have the people who are supposed to love you unconditionally look at you with disgust? To have your mother flinch when you try to hug her goodbye? It breaks something fundamental. Something that doesn't heal just because they say sorry. People on Reddit are going to tell me I should hear them out. That everyone deserves a second chance. That they were victims too. That Sophie manipulated them. But here's the thing. I don't owe them anything. Not my time. Not my forgiveness. Not a conversation. I owe them exactly what they gave me when I needed it most. Nothing. I have a life now. It's not the life I dreamed about when I was 17. It's smaller, lonelier, sadder. But it's mine. I built it alone from nothing, with no one's help. And I've learned to live without them. Do I miss having a family? Every single day. Do I miss my mom's lasagna and my dad's terrible jokes? More than I can put into words. Do I sometimes wish I could go back to being the kid I was before Sophie's lie? Desperately. But I can't. That kid is gone. He died the day his father told him to get out. The person I am now is someone who knows that people you love can destroy you. That trust is a luxury. That family is just a word. Opening my door won't bring that kid back. Hearing their apologies won't undo the damage. Forgiving them won't heal the wounds. It'll just rip them open again. A few people have asked me, "Don't you want to meet Lily? Your niece? The kid who's technically innocent in all this?" No, that sounds harsh, I know. She's 9 years old. She didn't ask to be born into this mess. She's just a kid, but she's also a living reminder of the lie that destroyed my life. She exists because Sophie got pregnant by her 19-year-old boyfriend and blamed me instead of facing the consequences. And honestly, I don't trust myself around her. Not because I'd hurt her, Jesus, no, but because I don't know what I'd feel. Resentment? Anger? Grief for the childhood I lost the day she was conceived? She deserves better than that. She deserves adults who can look at her without baggage. I'm not that person. My parents are raising her. From what I've gathered online, they're giving her a good life. That's where it should stay. I'm not her family. I'm not anyone's family anymore. You want to know the worst part of all this? Sometimes I dream about opening the door. I dream about seeing my parents' faces, older and sadder, but still familiar. I dream about my mom hugging me the way she used to, tight and safe. I dream about my dad put his hand on my shoulder and saying he's proud of me. I dream about forgiveness and reconciliation and all the things that are supposed to fix broken families. Then I wake up, and I remember that those dreams are fantasies, that the people in them don't exist anymore. My parents aren't the people who raised me. They're the people who threw me away. I'm not the son they remember. I'm the stranger they created when they chose to believe a lie instead of their own child. The flowers are still on my porch. In a few days, they'll be completely dead, and I'll throw them away, just like they threw me away. The difference is I'll do it quietly, without ceremony, without tears. Just a simple removal of something that's already gone. That's my answer. That's all the closure any of us are going to get. Edit. A lot of you are asking if I'll ever change my mind. Honestly, I don't know. Right now, the thought of seeing them makes me physically sick. Maybe in another 10 years, I'll feel different. Maybe I won't. Maybe I'll die alone in this house, and they'll never know what happened to me. Maybe that's what I deserve for being too broken to forgive. Or maybe it's what they deserve for breaking me in the first place. I don't have the answer. I just know that today, I'm not opening that door. And tomorrow, I probably won't either. And that's going to have to be enough.